Chinese rocket is on its way to the moon with a mission to bring back rock samples back down to Earth.
There was a whole story today about China just landed on the far side of the moon. So they landed a probe over there.
Joe Rogan cracked open a rabbit hole that might just lead to the most shocking revelation of our time. We're not talking craters and dust. We're talking about something strange, possibly artificial, maybe even alien. China's latest lunar missions didn't just bring back rocks, they may have brought back secrets.
China has managed to bring moon rocks back to Earth, the first mission to do so in over 40 years.
If what they found is real, it changes everything we thought we knew about the moon and ourselves. From humble beginnings to lunar dominance. You probably didn't notice it happening. Most people didn't. While the world was busy watching Elon Musk launch Teslas into space and NASA post selfies from Mars, China was quietly building one of the most ambitious space programs Earth has ever seen. No fanfare, no flashy press releases, just pure strategy. And now, they've landed on the far side of the moon, scooped up never-before-seen lunar samples, and brought them back to Earth without asking for anyone's attention. But make no mistake, the world should be paying attention. The China National Space Administration, or CNSA, wasn't even established until 1993, a late start compared to NASA or Roscosmos. But instead of playing catch-up, China played a different game. It prioritized efficiency, control, and long-term planning. While other space agencies focused on public excitement, China focused on results. And they've been crushing it, especially with their series of lunar missions known as the Chang'e program, named after the moon goddess in Chinese mythology, which already adds a slightly mysterious vibe to the whole endeavor. In 2013, Chang'e 3 made headlines by pulling off the first soft landing on the moon since 1976. Then in 2019, Chang'e 4 did the unthinkable. It landed on the far side of the moon. That's right, the mysterious dark half we never see from Earth. No country had ever managed it before. It was an engineering feat, and more importantly, it suggested China was probing areas no one else had dared to reach. And in 2020, Chang'e 5 took things even further. It brought back 1.7 kilograms of lunar rock and soil, the first fresh samples returned from the moon in over 4 decades. But China isn't stopping there. Their long-term goal is a permanent moon base, and they're already laying the groundwork. By the 2030s, maybe even sooner, they want astronauts living and working on the moon. And that raises the big question: why the rush? Why the moon? And why now? The answer might be simpler and more chilling than you think. The moon is loaded with potential. Helium-3, a rare isotope that could revolutionize clean energy, strategic military positioning, giving whoever controls it a powerful vantage point, and resources buried beneath the lunar surface that could be worth trillions. But beyond all that, there's growing speculation that China may have found something else, something unexpected, and maybe even not of this world. Because this isn't just about rocks and soil anymore. This could be about history-changing secrets hidden in plain sight. And the deeper you dig, the weirder it gets. But after all the hype and speculation, the biggest question remains: what did China actually find on the moon? Inside China's groundbreaking lunar discovery. It started with a strange report, buried in technical language, tucked into Chinese media, and largely ignored by the West. In 2019, during the Chang'e 4 mission on the far side of the moon, China's lunar rover, Yutu-2, stumbled upon something unexpected. The team described it as a gel-like substance with a mysterious luster, sitting inside a small crater. That's not normal lunar geology. The moon is dry, dusty, and dead. There's nothing gel-like about it. So what the hell did they find? The official explanation, months later, was that it was likely a type of glassy material formed from the intense heat of a meteor impact melting lunar rock. Sure, maybe, but that didn't stop the speculation. Because here's the thing, China never released clear images of the substance. The samples weren't made public, and experts noticed that even within Chinese science circles, there was an unusual amount of secrecy. Joe Rogan would say, "If it's just glass, why are they being so weird about it?" Then came Chang'e 5.
China, as the Chang'e 5 lunar probe is coming back to Earth, carrying soil and rock samples from the moon.
This mission wasn't just about exploration, it was about bringing something back. And it did. It returned with nearly 2 kilograms of moon soil and rock, freshly scooped from a volcanic plain never sampled before. Scientists expected the usual regolith. Instead, they found crystals, metallic particles, and traces of helium-3, a rare isotope that could one day power nuclear fusion reactors without radiation. That alone would make the mission historic. But there's more stuff that didn't make headlines. Leaked academic papers from Chinese research institutions hinted at the presence of exotic materials, compounds not found in Earth's crust, with unusual molecular structures. Some fringe theorists claimed these materials showed signs of having been engineered, not formed naturally, crafted. Whether that's real science or just good sci-fi is still up for debate, but here's what we know. China has not published everything it found. In fact, large portions of the Chang'e 5 sample analysis remain classified or unpublished, and access is tightly restricted even within China. What's even stranger is that independent researchers using high-resolution satellite images have pointed out unusual formations near the Chang'e landing sites, angular shapes, unnatural alignments, even shadow patterns that suggest hollow structures beneath the surface. Of course, NASA and CNSA both say these are just tricks of light, or the result of geological quirks. But that hasn't stopped the internet, and certainly not Rogan, from diving headfirst into theories. Could it be the remnants of an ancient alien civilization? Hidden bases? Lost human tech from a forgotten age? Or something even weirder? It's easy to dismiss all of this as fantasy, but if you've ever listened to a Joe Rogan deep dive with someone like Bob Lazar, Graham Hancock, or Avi Loeb, you know how quickly weird facts start to pile up. One minute you're talking about moon rocks. The next, you're asking whether those rocks were put there on purpose. Whatever China found, they're not sharing it all. And in the silence, the mystery only grows louder. With all these mysteries swirling, it's no wonder the conversation quickly turns to ancient aliens, lost civilizations, or maybe, just maybe, something far stranger than we ever imagined. Ancient aliens? Lost civilizations? Or just rocks? Let's be honest, when someone says China might have found something strange on the moon, your mind doesn't jump to just a weird rock. It jumps to aliens, ancient ruins, something buried, something not supposed to be there, and you're not alone. The moment that lunar gel story broke, conspiracy theorists, UFO researchers, and yes, Joe Rogan fans lit up Reddit, podcasts, and forums with a single burning question. What if this isn't natural at all? It sounds wild, but the idea that the moon holds secrets isn't new. For decades, researchers, many labelled as fringe or outright crazy, have claimed that the moon might not be what we think it is. People like Richard C. Hoagland have pointed to alleged glass towers, hexagonal domes, and geometric anomalies in NASA photos that they claim show ancient structures, ruins, maybe, or even ongoing activity. Others, like Graham Hancock, have long pushed the theory that a lost global civilization, possibly wiped out in a cataclysm, may have reached the moon long before us. And suddenly, China's secretive behavior makes the room feel a little colder. Joe Rogan's podcasts have explored this kind of stuff plenty of times.
Like there was a whole story today about China just landed on the far side of the moon. So they landed a probe over there.
Yeah, they did.
Whether it's Bob Lazar talking about alien tech reverse-engineered in hidden bases, or Avi Loeb suggesting interstellar probes might already be in our solar system, the vibe is always the same. We're probably being kept in the dark. So when China brings something back from the moon and doesn't show it to the world, people notice. Especially when that something doesn't fit into neat geological categories. There's also the moon itself. Just think about how weird it is. It's huge compared to Earth, suspiciously perfect in size and distance to cause solar eclipses. Its composition is strangely similar to Earth's outer crust, yet its density and internal structure don't fully line up with known models. Some ancient cultures even claimed the moon was a later addition to our sky, a time before the moon. Is that mythology, symbolism, or could it hint at a forgotten truth? Now, no serious scientist is saying China found a moon base, but the silence, the secrecy, the locked-down data, all of it feels like something bigger is going on. And once you throw in those grainy satellite photos with unnatural-looking shadows and strangely regular patterns, well, it's not hard to understand why speculation runs wild. Maybe it really is just rocks. Maybe we're all just seeing patterns where there are none. Or maybe, and here's where the rabbit hole gets deep, China found something old, something buried, something that wasn't supposed to be uncovered. Because if they did, that doesn't just change science. That changes history. That changes everything. The implications. First, let's talk geopolitics. Whoever owns the moon, literally or figuratively, owns the future. And China has made it crystal clear they want that ownership. Not just for scientific bragging rights, but for resources, military dominance, and energy supremacy. The moon contains rare elements, including the highly coveted helium-3, a clean energy source that could fuel nuclear fusion without radioactive waste. If China finds a way to extract and harness it, they don't just leap ahead in the space race, they potentially solve the global energy crisis on their terms. Now add in the military angle. A permanent moon base isn't just a science lab, it's a high ground unlike any other, perfect for surveillance, missile platforms, or even electromagnetic weapons. Think about it. Whoever controls the moon controls Earth's skies. It's no wonder the US created the Space Force. If China discovered tech, structures, or even just materials that give them an edge, the Pentagon is definitely paying attention. But let's zoom out further. If China found something not of this world, whether alien tech or ancient human relics, it wouldn't just be a military or scientific breakthrough. It would trigger a paradigm shift. Every textbook, every history lesson, every belief system would have to be re-examined. Our timeline, our place in the universe, the story of civilization itself, it all gets rewritten. Religions might fracture. Scientific institutions would be forced to admit how little we really know. Governments would face massive public pressure. What else have you been hiding? Who knew about this? When did you know? And that's just Earth reacting to the idea of discovery. Now imagine if there's more. What if whatever China found wasn't dormant? What if it led to signals, responses, or even contact? We've spent decades beaming radio waves into deep space, hoping someone's listening. But what if the moon is where the message finally came back from? Or worse, what if it was never meant to be found at all? This is how the next era begins. Not with flying saucers over Washington or a landing on the White House lawn, but with a quiet mission, a restricted report, a sealed lab somewhere in Beijing. Because whatever's going on up there, it's clear now, the moon isn't just a dead rock. It's a vault, a trigger, and maybe even a warning. And China, they might have just turned the key. With China making waves on the moon, how do they really stack up against the US and everyone else racing for lunar dominance? All the moonwalkers. If China really did find something on the moon, something strange, something buried, something not natural, then here's the next question. Who else is up there? And how far ahead or behind are the other players in this unfolding cosmic chess game? Because let's be clear, China isn't alone in its lunar ambitions. The United States is back in the fight. India is making bold moves. Russia's trying to claw its way back into relevance. Japan, Europe, even private companies, everyone's got their eyes on the moon. And if even one of these players stumbles onto something that blows the lid off our understanding of the moon's history, that moment becomes a planetary tipping point. The stakes are that high. Let's rewind the clock. The United States is still the only country to have put boots on the moon. Between 1969 and 1972, the Apollo program pulled off what many people still think is the peak of human space exploration. 6 missions, 12 astronauts, hundreds of pounds of lunar rock, and then silence. For 50 years, America didn't go back. No more humans, no more landers, no more big lunar plays. It's like they reached the finish line and said, "We're good," but that quiet left a power vacuum, and China stepped right into it. While NASA was focused on Mars and Earth orbit projects, China was building its lunar playbook from scratch. No hype, no tweets, just cold, methodical progress. The Chang'e program, named after the Chinese moon goddess, became their crown jewel. They landed on the moon. They explored the far side, something no one else had done. They brought back fresh lunar samples, again, something no one else had done in decades. And then they did it again, this time scooping material from regions that had never been sampled before. And while they released some of that data, a whole lot of it remains locked down tight. Add that to their military involvement in the space program, and suddenly you have this growing sense that China isn't just exploring. They're hiding something. Now the US is trying to catch up. The Artemis program is NASA's attempt to reclaim dominance. Artemis 1 launched successfully, flying an uncrewed capsule around the moon. Artemis 2 will take astronauts on a similar path, and Artemis 3 promises to land humans on the moon again. This time, including the first woman and first person of color. The plan is to set up a permanent outpost near the moon's south pole, where water ice might be hiding in the shadows of craters. That water can be turned into fuel, which makes the moon a gas station for deeper space missions. But let's be real. If China already found something powerful or strange up there, then the race isn't just about fuel or flags. It's about who controls the secrets first. And then there's India. You'd be forgiven for underestimating them, but that'd be a mistake. India's space agency, ISRO, doesn't have the flashy budget of NASA or CNSA, but they've made it work with brilliant engineering and pinpoint execution. After a failed landing attempt in 2019, they nailed it with Chandrayaan-3 in 2023, becoming the first country ever to land near the moon's south pole.
India has done it. It has become now the 4th country to land a spacecraft on the moon after the US and China and the former Soviet Union.
That's huge. Not only is that area of the moon a prime target for future colonization, but it's also rumored to hold ancient ice, rare minerals, and possibly even access to deep lunar caves. If there's anything buried beneath the surface, that's where you'd want to look. And now, India's there. Russia, on the other hand, used to be a lunar powerhouse. During the Cold War, they were neck and neck with the US, and while they never landed humans, they had a string of successful robotic missions. But post-Soviet space efforts have been plagued by technical failures and budget cuts. Their latest attempt, Luna 25, was supposed to show that they were still in the game. Instead, it crashed. Russia is still planning more missions, but right now, they're more of a wild card than a leader. That said, Russia has joined forces with China on a proposed international lunar research station, a joint base that could end up being the first permanent presence on the moon. That kind of alliance raises eyebrows. What are they building and why together? Meanwhile, Japan and Europe are playing a different game. They're precision partners. Japan's Moon Sniper mission in 2024 landed within a few meters of its target, a feat of insane accuracy. Their earlier mission, Kaguya, gave us the most detailed maps of the moon to date. Europe hasn't launched its own landers yet, but it's deeply embedded in the Artemis project, contributing critical technology and logistics. These aren't headline-grabbing moves, but they're vital. These countries are positioning themselves as indispensable to whatever infrastructure ends up defining lunar life in the next few decades. And let's not forget the new players: South Korea, the UAE. Even private companies like SpaceX and Blue Origin are getting contracts to build lunar landers, cargo vehicles, and even habitats. The moon is no longer some symbolic trophy. It's becoming real estate. And just like with Earth, whoever gets there first, builds the foundation, and plants their tech into the rock, they win. At least for a while. Here's the uncomfortable part. We're all pretending this is still about science, that we're going to the moon to learn about craters and ancient volcanoes and how lunar dust sticks to everything. But that's the cover story. The deeper truth, it's about control. Control over resources, control over data, control over whatever's already up there. And if China found something game-changing, an exotic material, evidence of artificial construction, or even just a scientific anomaly they can't explain, they might choose to keep it to themselves. In a world where information is power, secrecy becomes strategy. So now we've got dozens of nations circling the moon, all acting like it's still unclaimed territory. But the quiet reality is, the moon might already be claimed by someone or something far older than any flag we've planted. And whether it's Joe Rogan unpacking theories with ex-intelligence guys, or scientists passing vague Chinese reports, the question just keeps echoing louder. What's really up there? Because this isn't just a race to explore the moon anymore. It's a race to find the truth. We'd love to hear what you think. Drop your comments below and subscribe for more uploads like this.